What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. So it's been a minute since we did a haul video on this channel, so I figured it makes sense to knock one out, and this is going to be for the months of January and February. If anybody's wondering why I didn't do a November, December haul video, the reason for that is that I talked about the stuff that I would have talked about in a November, December haul in my tour video that I did in January. So if you want to check that video out, you can do so by going to the link above. But if you want to watch this video, I've got something like 60 volumes of manga that I will be getting through for this video. And I don't want this thing to be overly long, though my videos tend to be extremely long. So yeah, let's jump right into this thing. I don't want to take up any more time. The way that I structure these videos is that I usually do my soft single volumes first, and then I do my Omni paperbacks second, and then after that I would do, if I have Spanish volumes, I would talk about some Spanish volumes, and then I would do, if I had them, small hardcovers, and then I would do my larger hardcovers, which I do also have. I have some Omni hardcovers that I will be talking about at the end of the video. If I had comic books, I would talk about comic books at the very end of the video, but I do not have any comics this haul, so yeah, let's jump right into it. Alright, so right off the bat, we've got Happy Land. So I don't know anything about this series, to be completely honest, but I did flip through it a little bit, and it looks absolutely insane. What it reminds me of, like when I look at it, it reminds me of Sander Cohen, I think his name is, from BioShock, which is a game that I played a really long time ago. And when I was flipping through this, like, this dude reminded me so much of, like, Sander Cohen. And this is by Ablaze Manga, but it looks absolutely unhinged, and it's super duper violent. I really want to see more stuff like this getting translated to English. Like I would love to see things like Signal 100 or Pumpkin Night, or like one of my favorite series is Jagan. I would love to see those be translated into English. So maybe a Blaze manga, will pick it up. That would be really rad. I mean, they also picked up Gannibals, so it would be sick if they also, picked up Jagan. Alright, we got Mysterious Disappearances, Volume 4. I love this series. I watched the anime as well for this. I finished watching the anime, and this is kind of like a little bit behind, where the anime is at. But luckily, being able to read the manga means we'll be able to continue on from where the anime left off and see, eventually once the manga reaches that point, where the story goes from there. But the manga is really solid. This was in my Favorite Things 2024 video, so if you want to see more of my thoughts on it, you can check that out. Or even I talked about this in I'm currently reading video, I think. I don't remember if it was my summer currently reading video or what, but I know I talked about this in a video at some point. We got Mieruko-chan. This is one of my favorite series ever. This is volume 10 of Mieruko-chan. This is by Yen Press. This is one of the best series that I've personally ever read. Pretty much you got a girl who can see ghosts, and she pretends like she doesn't see the ghosts. Mieruko-chan has one of the best stories ever, and this volume right here was incredible. And I'm going to be talking about it again in my February rewind video, and that's a thing that I do on this channel. As of January of this year, I started doing rewinds. So I do a thing called monthly rewind, where I talk about all the manga that I read in a particular month, and this is going to be in my February rewind. The Hungry Succubus Wants to Consume Him. I got the first two volumes right here. I'm actually going to be reading, this is by Ghost Ship. I'm going to be reading the first volume of The Hungry Succubus for my next currently reading video, which should be my summer currently reading. It's already gotten too late to do a spring currently reading, and by the time that I do, like, I got 4 projects right now that I'm kind of in the middle of. They're not going to be out for a while. This is actually one of the 4. So yeah, I got, besides this video that I'm working on right now, I've got like 3 other videos that are potentially in the works, and it's going to take me a while to like kind of knock out each one of these projects. So yeah, it might be a minute, before I do the currently reading video. But yeah, this is going to be up there, and it looks super it looks super irreverent. It's obviously, like, definitely going to be kind of adult. I do have a soft spot for trash. I'm a person who enjoys trash, so I'm definitely looking forward to checking this out. Alright, we got volume 17 of Chainsaw Man. I love Chainsaw Man. I read this on the Manga Plus app. Every time a new chapter drops of Chainsaw Man, I am there reading it, and yeah, it just gets better and better, and the latest chapters that have been dropping for Chainsaw Man have been pretty solid. I think the manga physicals are like 30-ish chapters behind where it is releasing digitally, if I'm not mistaken. I think that's where it was last time I looked. It was like 30 chapters behind, because I think I flipped through the last volume, or maybe it was this volume that I flipped through, and I think it was like give or take like 30 chapters behind where it is digitally. But this is by Shonen Jump. Viz, I love Chainsaw Man. I don't think I need to explain Chainsaw Man to anybody. I'm pretty sure we all know this is the series by now that many people either love or they hate. Or they're like, like on the fence about it. But I personally love it. I love Tatsuki Fujimoto, and I will support anything that he does. Alright, and then we got the first physical volume of Ruri Dragon. I love this series. This initially debuted, I think, in like 2023 as like a one-shot, and then it disappeared, and then came back as a series. If I'm mistaken on that, please correct me in the comments, but I think that's what happened, because it was gone for like a really long time, and then it came back in 2024, and I think it's either a bi-weekly series or a monthly series, but I can't remember off the top of my head. But this is such a cute series. I talked about this in this is by Shonen Jump Viz, but I talked about this in one of my first impressions videos that I do on this channel. For like newer digital series that aren't available yet in physical in English, I do videos called First Impressions, and it's pretty much stuff that's like on the Shonen Jump Viz app, or even maybe in the future potentially stuff that is on the Square Enix manga app. Just stuff that's like, pretty fresh, that, for the most part in Japanese, it gets the physical right away. But in English, it could take months, before a series gets a physical release. And this ended up getting released pretty recently, and I ended up picking it up. And I don't really reread series. If I'm reading them digitally, like with Chainsaw Man, I don't reread Chainsaw Man. And I'm not going to reread Ruri Dragon in this physical. I just buy them to support, because it's something that it's a series that I really like, and I really care about it, and it's a lot of fun. She's a great lead, and it's pretty much like a high school slice of life story, but with a girl who happens to be a dragon. It's super adorable, dude. I don't think this could offend anybody. I think I've said that when talking about this series in the past. Like, I don't see how this could offend anybody, unless you hate dragons or something. But it's a super adorable series, tons of fun. Alright, by Kodansha, we have Tank Chair Volume 2. This is a significant increase in quality from Volume 1 of Tank Chair. This is like a Chainsaw Man, where like the title is really dumb, but the story is actually really good. In the case of this series, like the first volume of it felt like really dumb, but like a good kind of dumb, like where you're watching like the Fast and the Furious movies, and like you kind of just have to like turn your brain off and just enjoy it. That's kind of like the way that I feel about it's kind of the way that I felt about the first volume of Tank Chair. It's like you just gotta like turn your brain off and just enjoy a dude fighting monkeys, fighting like mutated monkey men. And this one actually, like this volume right here, kind of like dials into the background of some of these characters a little bit more. And it was actually a really solid volume, and you start to see more of like, there is like this nemesis sort of a thing with like these two characters right here. Like he was a top assassin, and then he ends up taking a bullet to the dome, and it kind of fries his circuitry and makes him essentially a vegetable. But if he feels somebody's like murderous intent or whatever, like he goes into psychopath mode, and then that's his little sister right there, and they're supposed to be like a tag team duo sort of a thing, but she ends up being the reason that he ends up being paraplegic. But a lot of things happen in this series, and I don't want to go too into it, you know, just in case you want to read it for yourself, but I did talk about this in a currently reading video, if I'm not mistaken, if you want to hear more of my thoughts about it. But I have like a ton of stuff to get through, so unfortunately I can't like give you a ton here in this particular video. But yeah, definitely highly recommend checking this out if you are a fan of like super irreverent, like gory, bloody stories. And then yeah, in volume 2, like it does really start to expand more on the world and gets to be a lot more interesting, I think, in my opinion. Alright, we got Versus Volume 2. This is by Kodansha. I loved the first volume of the series, so I haven't started this yet, unfortunately. I'm actually in the middle of After God Volume 2, and this is by Viz Signature. We'll talk about both of these, why not? So, yeah, I'm going to be reading this after I read this, and I'm actually almost done with this one. Like, I guess, like, what, like, I got like a quarter of it left to finish, and then I'll be done with After God. But I have nothing but praise for After God. I think After God is turning into one of the best manga series that I've ever read. Like, this volume right here is incredible, and there are these things that exist in the world of After God that are called like IPOs or whatever, and they're basically like these humongous, like godlike creatures that if you make eye contact with them, you will burst into a body of water. And there's a thing that happens, and one day they kind of like Godzilla, you know, they come out of the earth and they surround Japan and like other countries or whatever, and people become like disciples of these gods. And then there is like a whole organization that tries to work in tandem with, I guess, other government agencies or whatever, to try to take these beings down. And there's even people that get like genetic mutation and whatnot to sort of try to combat them on their own, try to like essentially like level the playing field, right, by you know, ingesting parts of these gods. It's kind of like Hell's Paradise, you know, almost. That's like what I've compared it to in the past. But absolutely wild story. I'm almost done with this volume. Can't wait to finish it. It's just been an absolute blast. It does a really great job of melding like super fun, just nonsensical jokes and whatnot with super brutal, violent, like immediate, like yeah, just like it gets violent and brutal just immediately. Like one page everybody's having a blast, and then the next all hell's breaking loose, and not the good kind of breaking loose, like the holy hell, I can't believe that's actually happening sort of breaking loose. But yeah, dude, absolutely wonderful series. And Versus Volume 2, I haven't started yet, but I love the first volume of this. This is a story where like there are 47 heroes that have to fight 47 demon lords, and then it kind of goes pretty terribly, super duper fast, and the tables are turned in favor of the demon lords, and the heroes are all almost, like, yeah, I wouldn't say like almost all of them are vanquished like right away. Instead of the heroes winning, they're pretty much wiped out right away, and then only a handful of heroes are left, and those heroes have to find a way to sort of combat this threat. But then there's like this portal that opens up, and then it's not just one portal, there's a lot of portals that sort of open up to these other worlds, and it becomes like just a huge, gigantic jumble of all sorts of characters and whatnot from different worlds, and it's super wild, man. But really enjoyed the first volume. Like I said, I'm going to be starting this pretty soon. Once I finish Volume 2 of After God, I'm going to be jumping into Volume 2 of Versus. My Poison Princess is Still Cute, Volume 3. This concludes, this is by Yen Press. This concludes My Poison Princess is Still Cute. I wanted to pick it up because I really enjoyed the first volume of the series. I got Volume 2 on the TBR shelf, and I wanted to just pick it up the rest of it, you know, because I felt like this is one of those series that I also think is like super inoffensive. Like, it's just like an adorable series, and I'm a fan of like super cute manga and whatnot. Like, I own a lot of like just super adorable manga, because like I do like super brutal, violent, you know, vicious manga, but then I'm all dude who also enjoys like lighter, more fun sorts of things. I feel like as a person you should be well-rounded and not just wanting to consume one sort of a thing. Like, you got to be open to everything, and I definitely am one of those people. So yeah, pretty much like She's Poisonous to the touch. Like if you touch her, like you will die literally instantly. And this dude falls for her that is like immortal. Like he tries to get close to her and touch her skin or whatever, and then dies. But then he comes back to life, and every time he comes back to life, he tries to touch her and then dies again. But it's super cute, dude. And yeah, this is pretty much it right here. Once I read volume 2, I'll probably at some point in time try to jump into volume 3. And yeah, once I finish it, depending on how I feel about it, I might, throw it up for sale, once I finish this final volume. Or if it's something that I enjoy enough, I might just keep it on the shelf, because it's only 3 volumes. It's not, taking up like a crazy amount of space. The man, the myth, the legend, Boichi, we got Origin Volume 7. This is by Kodansha. Boichi with this series, in my opinion, can do no wrong. This is one of the strongest things that I've ever read. It just gets, like, it's one of those series that just gets progressively more screwed up. It's like this dude who is essentially like an android or whatever, trying to navigate daily life, pretending to be a human, and he really does, in a sense, resemble a human, because, like, just the most horrible things happen to this dude, and, like, he has to essentially fix his body on the fly, as, like, from one moment to the next, he's minding his own business, and then he's fighting this gang of robots or whatever, and whatever could possibly go wrong does go wrong, like, just at the drop of a hat. And then, like, anything that gets broken within him, he has to repair, and he has to pay to repair those things. So he's, like, in debt, in a sense. So he's literally living, like, a human existence. And I've talked about it in the past. Like, I really want to do, like, why you should read for Origin, but I might wait until the series is complete in English before doing a why you should read, or I might just do one anyway, because this is such a phenomenal series. Like, it's definitely up my alley in terms of just how nonsensical it is, and then, like, it'll just go from that to being super serious. And I feel like that's my favorite sort of genre in storytelling, is like a seinen sort of a thing, where it's like super funny, like this is happening, and then it's just like fight for your life. And yeah, it's a solid read, dude. Love the artwork. Boichi is such an incredible creator. He's got a new series too that he's doing now, The Martial King or something like that. I forgot what it's called, but I might actually talk about that in a first impressions video at some point. But yeah, you can't go wrong with Boichi. I'd love if we got Sunken Rock at some point in time. I don't see why we can't. Like, I'd love to get Sunken Rock in English. Alright, so we got Honey Trap Shared House Volumes 3 and 4 of Honey Trap Shared House. And these are by Yen Press. So this series is just pretty much trash. Like I've said a million times on this channel, I'm a fan of trash. This is pretty much a series where there is a house that is set up to be like a honey pot by this dude who is a spy, and one of the girls that shows up at this honey pot is a girl that he was in love with when he was like 5 or 6 or whatever, and then at some point in time they kind of go their separate ways, and when they go their separate ways, they completely forget about each other until they end up meeting up as adults at this house that he set up to be like a honey pot, and he's like the chaperone or like the host or whatever, of this house. And, as these girls come in, they think that there's intel in this house, but there is no actual intel. He's just trying to trap them. But it is, it's a little manga, so it does turn into a harem, and a bunch of different girls show up, and it makes like this huge harem thing. And I don't know, man. I'm a fan of trash, so I definitely wouldn't pick this up unless you like trash. Alright, so I felt like completing the Slasher Maidens collection. I'm pretty sure 11 is the final volume, but I have volumes 8, 9, 10, and 11 of Slasher Maidens. This is by Yen Press. I first started collecting this series a really long time ago. I think in 2022. I talked about it in the first Barnes & Noble video that I ever did on this channel. I did in 2022, and I picked the first volume of the series up while in Orlando on a work trip, and pretty much just been collecting it since then. I've heard some people aren't too happy with the way that the series ended, but I don't know, I'm going to give it a shot for myself and, see how I feel by the time I conclude it. But pretty much there are these girls who get these, I don't even know what to call them, but they get like these mementos or whatever from like serial killers, and only girls, I guess, can be outfitted with them, and they use them to fight these sort of monsters, like women, I guess, that went crazy and whatnot. And there's a lot of series like that have that sort of a thing. Like Psycho-Pass has that sort of a thing, you know, where like people go crazy or whatever. Jagan has it as well. But in Jagan, it's more like the fractured frogs or whatever turn people crazy. And another series, Psycho-Pass, I think it's like if you hit like a certain plateau, like you just kind of snap. Smoking Parade too kind of has something like that, you know, where like people will like snap or whatever. And this series kind of has that, you know, where I think like women, I don't know, I can't remember what it was because it's been a while since I read that first volume of the series, but there's a certain trigger point, and these girls that have like mementos or whatever from serial killers will fight these sorts of psychopathic monster women or whatever, monster creatures. And it's by one of the dudes, it's by one of the creators of Akame ga Kill. So I feel like if you've seen the anime or read the manga or whatever for Akame ga Kill, you kind of, this is actually by the dude that drew Akame ga Kill, I should have specified. But yeah, I mean, I think it's kind of like that, but Akame ga Kill I think was a lot more brutal, like right off the bat. But I don't know, it's a decent series. I've enjoyed it quite a bit. Enough that I decided to just, you know, complete the whole thing. And like I said, by the time I finish it, like I said with my Poison Princess, it's still cute. If I, you know, by the end of it, not like the biggest fan of it, I could always just turn around and, you know, unhaul the whole set. I usually have my hair down, but it's like 90 degrees in this room. Like I turn off the AC to record, and it's like super duper hot. Like I had my hair down when I started recording, but I just couldn't do it, so I ended up just tying it up. And so yeah, that's why I look kind of blah. I talked about this series before in a video. I can't remember if it was one of my one of my currently reading videos or what. But I know I talked about I Want to Do Bad Things with You. This is a great series, super adorable. I got the first 3 volumes of it right here. And this is by Viz Shonen Sunday. I've read the first 2 volumes of it. I have not read volumes 3 or 4 yet, but I do find it quite entertaining. You know, it's super adorable. I like her a lot. She's like a character that is essentially kind of like a pushover, and she's in love with this dude who like isn't afraid of anything or anyone. He's like weak, you know, like physically weak and whatnot, and I think he's sick a lot, but he doesn't let that hold him back from just pretty much being himself and, you know, essentially being the best, you know, version of himself in his mind that he can be, because like he just commits like super nonsensical crimes, I guess, if you will. Like they're not even really crimes, or some of them are a little bit kind of like crimes, but they're just random, you know, things, because he wants to be evil and she wants to do, you know, bad things with him because she's pretty much been like a pushover her whole life, and she's given the opportunity to be a part of something that isn't nice, you know. And it's like that meme, like that wasn't very nice, and you know, it's like Skeletor or whatever, and it says like I'm not nice. That's kind of like what she's trying to be. But yeah, I like the series quite a bit, so yeah, I'm definitely going to keep picking it up, and hopefully I can start volume 3 pretty soon, and then eventually, yeah, volume 4 and onward. But yeah, Eden of Witches, I don't know anything about this series. I picked this up because I want to do I've been reading fantasy manga video, and this is one of the series that I decided to check out. The artwork reminded me so much of Witches by Daisuke Igarashi. It kind of even looks like the artwork for Witch Hat Atelier, but just absolutely gorgeous artwork for this thing. Like I said, I haven't started yet, so I really can't tell you what it's about, and I kind of don't want to know personally what it's about. I want to go into it blind so that I can talk about it in my I've been reading fantasy manga video. But yeah, if you can pick this up somewhere, like just jump on the internet, even just jump on Google or whatever, and like look at the artwork for the series, dude. It has such amazing artwork, just absolutely gorgeous, like super breathtaking. So I'm really excited to eventually read this for that video. And by a legend, Naoki Urasawa, we've got Sneeze. This is by Viz Signature. I've been trying to pick up a lot of his work. If anything, I've been trying to just pick up all of his works, because I eventually want to knock out a video about Naoki Urasawa. I started reading the first volume of 20th Century Boys for a video, and then kind of like put it off to the side. And I'm going to start reading it again at some point in time, but I ended up wanting to do some other stuff, and I ended up, unfortunately, putting it off yet again. I don't want to keep doing that, but I think I was going to just try to put out my Ito video first, and then, you know, kind of jump on that one, because I think I'm going to end up just covering all of 20th Century Boys in just like a massive video. And it's just time, dude. It's so difficult to find time to do things, but yeah, this is a story collection by Naoki Urasawa. I haven't cracked it open yet, but I might just read it just for the hell of it, you know, and like now wait until I'm going to do a big Urasawa video. But it'd be kind of tough to do that anyway, because he's got so much work out, and some of his works are like gigantic, you know, like Monster's huge. 20th Century Boys is another like just gigantic series, and then like Asadora is another series that's like I think ongoing still in English. I don't know if it's complete or not in Japanese, but yeah, I could definitely like, you know, jump into this, and since this is a collection of stories and whatnot, it wouldn't take me too long, I think, to get through this one. All right, so we got Chain Soldier Volume 10. I pretty much pick these up as they come out. I've talked about the series a lot. This is pretty much like trash, but I enjoy it quite a bit. The artwork is solid. I don't think you're going to get too much out of this. This is another series where it's kind of like a harem sort of a thing. You know, this dude, it's kind of like a high school DxD in a sense, but this dude can turn into like a monster called something like, I think, a Mato or something, a Mato. And there's an anime for it, which wasn't that great. I did watch it. I watched the whole anime, the whole first season or whatever. I don't know if there's going to be another season or not, but it was okay. I feel like the artwork in the manga is a ton better. Well, it does have, you know, like the fan service and stuff going on. The story's not terrible. You know, it's definitely interesting, but it does kind of like follow certain, you know, trappings or whatever, where the organization that these people work for may actually be super shady, and I feel like you see that all the time, like in anime and manga and whatnot. It's kind of like the same thing with Chain Soldier, but I don't know. I'm gonna keep collecting it because I do enjoy it. You know what I mean? It is what it is. All right, we got Snowball Earth Volumes 3 and Volume 4 there. This is a series that I really enjoy. Pretty much you got this dude who was like Earth's last defender or whatever, like last force against these aliens that are coming to Earth, and he ends up failing in his mission to try to save the Earth, and he wakes up like 10 years after the Earth is essentially like destroyed or whatever, and it is snowed over, hence the name Snowball Earth. Oh, I should have mentioned this is by Viz signature. But yeah, pretty much some time's passed and the Earth is frozen over, but there's people that are still living on the Earth, and the dude happens to be really terrible at speaking to people. He has a friend that is a robot, but it's also this robot that he pilots, and that's like the only friend that he has in the world. And he's like now in this like Snowball Earth sort of a situation. He has to find a way to get over his inability to make friends, and there's this writer named like Lonely Iwaki or something like that like he read this book by, and it's trying to like show him, you know, how to be friendly with people, and it says like give them like a big smile or something, and he tries to smile at these people in like the Snowball Earth afterworld or whatever, and they just look at him like, who the hell is this psychopath? But it's a great series, dude, and this is the character right there. And yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to continuing it and see how long this actually runs for. But yeah, so far I have the first 4 volumes of it. All right, Depression Overload. We got Boys Abyss Volume 8. I actually picked up 2 volumes of this, not even realizing. I already sent the other Volume 8 to my friend Justin, who is my editor, because I write books and whatnot, and he edits them. But yeah, this is Volume 8 of Boys Abyss, and I haven't read like the last 2 volumes of it, so I still need to get through, I think, 6, 7, and then 8 of Boys Abyss to be caught up. And I'm going to probably be jumping on it pretty soon, because like I've been doing monthly rewind videos, and like I'm forcing myself every month to read at least 10 volumes of manga, and I feel like it's going to help me out a lot with finally starting to play catch up, and I feel like it's going pretty well, so I'll probably end up jumping on Boys Abyss at some point in time. And like, I'm really excited to, like, you know, be doing that project, because then like I'm reading a lot more, you know, instead of just reading for videos. In a sense, like I still am kind of reading for videos, but I'm reading a lot more stuff because like I'm going to be talking about all those things that I read in like a specific video. And then I'm also doing like channel videos and whatnot, like where, you know, I'll like talk about a specific series. And so I'll be able to like kind of talk about that series in more than just one video. And I don't know, I feel like that's a great idea that I want to really pursue. And I hope that, you know, you all that are watching these videos that I've enjoyed, I hope you've all enjoyed that first January rewind. And then I think after this video, I'm going to be doing my February rewind, if I'm not mistaken. I think that is literally the next video that I'm going to be recording. But yeah, pretty much just super depressing. I did a video about this, so if you want to know more about Boys Abyss, you should definitely check out the video that I did about it. Alright, we got Mujina Into the Deep. This is by Viz Signature. I haven't, as you can see, I haven't even cracked this thing open yet. I'm going to be talking about this in my currently reading video, and I'm going to be starting that within the next couple of weeks. There is, what am I reading? Oh, I have to read Hikari Man. I completely forgot. Yeah, I'm reading Hikari Man, which actually I have in this haul. That's going to be my next video, and then after that, I'm going to start, you know, working towards my currently reading video. But yeah, I've got so many projects just always lined up, and you know, with doing the, you know, 10 volumes a month thing, it's kind of like pushing certain projects back a little bit. But I do want to do it, otherwise I'm just going to keep compiling all this manga and then never reading any of it, and it's just going to kind of be the same cycle that I was stuck in for like the last 3 years. And pretty much this being like year 4 of the channel, I really want to start, you know, putting a dent into my reading. This is Inyo Asano kind of breaking into like a more actiony sort of side of things, but from the artwork that I've seen from Mujina, it just looks absolutely wild. So I'm really excited to see where the hell this thing is going to go. And I remember when it was announced and like seeing the Japanese artwork and whatnot, it was so rad. And so I'm definitely excited to start this, and I will be starting it pretty soon. And once I do, I'm going to give you like a 10-minute segment in that currently reading video, because like when I do those, like I'll give like each volume like a 10-minute segment where I just like go non-stop about the story, while not trying to tell you too much about what's going on in it, so I don't spoil every single thing, but like I do just like go super into it. And if you never watched my channel, it's like your first time watching it, you can go down and into like the into my page or whatever and just check out like my currently reading videos. And like, yeah, I do, like I will sit there and just like go down the line of like all the things that I enjoyed from each series. And this being a haul, obviously, you know, I can't do that, or it's gonna be like a 4-hour long haul video. But yeah, definitely super duper excited to check this out. All right, we got Dan to Dan volume 11. I love Dan to Dan with all of my heart. And then we've got Kagura Bachi volume 2, Kagura Bachi. These are both by Viz Shonen Jump. Kagura Bachi is one of those series that I think just gets better and better. So both of these are series that, you know, I read on the Manga Plus app, and I love Dan to Dan. It's one of my favorite series ever. I've got a Dan to Dan poster on that wall over there. And Kagura Bachi is a series that like came out of left field, and it had a pretty interesting sort of beginning, and it looks like it's doing better and better each week. It just has a ton of readership every time a new chapter drops, you know, and like each new chapter drop, in my opinion, the artwork just gets better and better and better, and the story is absolutely wild, absolutely insane. And this is, I guess, I want to say pretty far back, right? Because it's up to like chapter 60 something, and this has to be like maybe 10 or so, chapter 10. Okay, yeah, so this is like chapter 9 through 18 of the series, and I think the series right now is up to like chapter 60 something. But dude, it's just gotten so good, and it's like one of those series where it's just like, from where it starts to where it is now, it's just been boom, 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 you know, just kind of like hitting all those high notes. But at the same time, like, it's got a good story, you know, like the whole setup for the way that the armaments and whatnot work in this world, with the different like different power systems, you know, like how it all kind of works and how it all coalesces and whatnot. It's pretty cool. Those things were like, if you pay attention to it, I feel like the power structures and whatnot with the different swords and what the different swords are capable of. It's all pretty wild, and seeing who owns what swords, who has what swords, who has possessions, who has possession of what swords, and this kid who's trying to like hunt them down and whatnot. And yeah, it's just a wild, wild series, and this is one of my favorite characters in the story. And I'm not gonna say too much about it, but yeah, that dude was an absolute nutcase, and I loved getting to read his shenanigans. Yeah, Dan to Dan, man, this series that I'm pretty much up to date with. I don't know if it's up to 200 chapters yet, or if it's like almost to 200 chapters, but it's way the hell up there. And I've been reading it for a really, really long time. And yeah, I just absolutely love this series. I adore it. So I don't reread things, like I said, so these two I just picked up to support, but they're definitely going indie collection where they will sit for the rest of eternity. Alright, we got Tokyo Alien Bros. I haven't started this yet, but I'm going to be reading it for my currently reading video. So yeah, once I do my currently reading video, I'll tell you how I feel about Tokyo Alien Bros. If you want to tell me how you feel about any of the series that I've talked about so far, please feel free to do so in the comments below. I love to know what you're all reading, what you got going on. Every time people comment, I always respond. So yeah, please feel free to let me know. If you want to talk about any of these, if you want to talk about all of these things that I've brought up so far, please feel free. You want to leave me 10 comments, 20 comments, go for it. You're not gonna make me mad. I know there's channels where like they don't like people to leave more than like one comment, but I'm not one of those channels. I really don't care, dude. Leave 30 comments if you want to. Yeah, I haven't started this yet, but I really look forward to it because from what I heard, I think is like these dudes were like supposed to destroy the Earth or whatever, but they end up becoming like enamored with Earth and just decide to kind of like live on Earth as human beings, even though they aren't human beings. I think that's what it's about. I think that's what I read that it was about, and I was just like, that sounds super insane, super nonsensical. So it definitely piqued my interest, and I wanted to see where it is gonna go. And looks like this dude right here is eating toothpaste. And so they're definitely not human. It kind of reminds me of like this meme that I saw a really long time ago, like the early stages of meme culture or whatever. That's like this alien. It's like a poorly disguised alien or whatever. And he's got like, he looks like an alien, and one eye's got like a toupee and like a fake mustache. And he's gonna go pay for something, and this guy asks him like cash or credit, and he says credit. But I'll show you the meme like right here. But that's kind of like what this makes me think of, and yeah, I'm definitely super excited to talk about this in that video, which should probably, I'll start working on it in the next 2 to 3 weeks, in all honesty. Once like I finish the things that I'm working on right now, I'm just gonna start reading, and then boom, get all 5 volumes of manga that I'm gonna be talking about for that video together, and then we'll make magic. Alright, we've got Gachakuta Volume 5. This is by Kodansha. So I love Kodansha, man. I think Kodansha has dropped absolute bangers, left and right. And this series right here is definitely in the top, like 10, I guess I'd say, of just overall banger series. I think, yeah, this was in my top 10 too of my favorite things 2024. And I don't know what I could say about the series. Like, it is irreverent. It's incredible. It's violent. I wouldn't say it's gory. It's really not that gory. It's more just like a power system sort of a manga, and there's an anime coming out too for it, which I'm excited about because the artwork in the series is absolutely insane. Though, if you're going to check out the anime, I would also say please check out the manga, because what ends up happening with anime series is that they tend to lose a lot of the beauty and whatnot from the manga. And I'm not telling you not to watch anime, because like I watch anime sometimes as well. I don't watch it so much anymore. I kind of lost interest in it as I've gotten older. But I used to watch a lot more anime. Before I started reading manga, I used to watch a lot more anime, and then, once I started reading manga just kind of like took over for me and became the thing. Became ultimately my way of consuming storytelling. But pretty much you got this kid who lives in like this dome, who lives in like this kind of like floating city or whatever, and one day he's framed for murder, and then he's thrown off of this floating city to essentially his death. And when that happens, he ends up realizing that there is a whole world, beneath them on the earth. And when he gets down there, he realizes that there exists a sort of power system where there are these people called givers, and givers can imbue things with like an anima or whatever, and when they do that, they become like something instruments. I can't remember what it was. It was like mortal instruments or something like that. I forgot what it was called, but yeah, it's pretty much like they just face off against each other, and it's super wild, man. Kind of like shonen-y. I guess this would technically be, I guess, a shonen, right? Because it's not mature. It's teen. I guess it's like 16 plus. So I don't know what you would consider this, like a shonen or a seinen or whatever. But personally, I kind of consider it like a shonen because it does have like those shonen things with like the power systems and whatnot. But yeah, I've enjoyed it quite a bit, and the artwork is incredible. The characters are a ton of fun. The lead character in it is such a goofball, but he's also trying to, get to the bottom of what happened to him. And I don't want to say too much more than that about it, but yeah, dude, check out Gachikuta. Either watch the upcoming anime or pick up the manga and start reading it, dude, but it's totally, totally worth it. So we got apparently disillusioned adventurers will save the world. I decided to, this is by Yen Press. I decided to just pick up the rest of it. So we got volume 3 here, volume 4, volume 5, and then volume 6. And that is all that is available for this series in the manga format. But I think it goes on for a lot longer in the light novel side of things, but I am not sure, so don't quote me on that. I really like the series. It had an anime. I think it only ran for 1 season, but yeah, I think it only ran for 1 season. I haven't checked it out because I'm not really into anime too much. I know I mention that all the time, but yeah, not too much into anime anymore, not like I used to be. And it kind of reminds me of like Gono Suba, and that's what I think of it that's what I think of when I check the series out, like a more mature-ish Gono Suba, where you have these characters that were in different parties, and they were essentially betrayed by the parties that they were in, and now they create this other party where it's kind of tentative. They're not coalescing too well. They're not getting along super duper well, but they're trying, and it kind of leads to them clashing here or there. But I feel like in volume 2 it starts to get a little bit better, where they're starting to a little bit sort of trust each other, and it's not like right away they click and they're suddenly like great friends or whatever. Like, it takes time for them to kind of build a connection, and I kind of like that. And then I'm assuming in volume 3 they're probably going to start getting a lot closer, because I do want to read volume 3, maybe even volume 4 for my March rewind, because this is only like a 6-volume set. So like what I want to do for like those rewind videos is like knock out my series that I own that are like so long, they're like 5 or less, even 6 or less, 7 or less volumes. Just try to knock those out so I can just have those whole sets completed. And this is one of them where like I just want to complete this set. So yeah, we'll see. And I've enjoyed it so far, so I don't think that there's any reason that I won't enjoy the rest of it. So we are at the end of these singles, and this is one of those situations where I feel not too proud of myself. It's one of those things where like I'm not too proud of myself. So I bought all of Cells at Work Code Black. This is by Godansha, and this is an 8-volume set. And I was kind of hoping for there to be like Cells at Work, the original Cells at Work, got adapted into 2 nice thick omnibuses. And I was kind of waiting for that to happen with this, and it's been a while, and I still haven't seen one. I still haven't seen an Omni for this. I'm kind of wondering if there's ever going to be an Omni for it. And I was just like, you know what, dude? It's looking like this series is starting to run dry. Like, who knows if it's going to get reprinted or not? If these, sell out, will there be a reprint of it? Like, is it popular enough that it'll get reprinted, or am I going to be screwed and just not be able to collect it whatsoever? So I ended up just picking up all of Cells at Work Black just to be able to own it. And yeah, I got all 8 volumes of Cells at Work Black. I'm not proud of myself. I am not proud of myself for spending this money, but I want to pretend I want to pretend like I can justify this purchase. I want to pretend like I can justify it by saying that they might go out of print. Because that has happened to series, you know, that like I started collecting and then realized that they're out of print. And I'm just like, damn, dude, I'm going to have to pay some dude on the internet like $200 for a volume 5 and 6 of Sekide. If I ever want to collect that, if I ever just want to collect those 2 volumes of Sekide, I'm gonna have to pay somebody like some insane amount of money. I think volume 5, some dude is selling for like $2,000, and I'm just like, there's no way the hell I'm paying that, dude. But yeah, I had to pick up this whole set, and I do want to start Cells at Work at some point in time. Like started watching the anime. I loved the anime, and it's just one of those series where like I just wanted to collect it. I wanted to own the whole thing. You know, when I do eventually start reading it, you know, I can just go through the whole thing. And all right, and now we are on to the Omni side of things, and I wanted to crack this part of the video open with Hunter x 1 through 3. And this is by Viz Shonen Jump. I've never read Hunter x Hunter. I did watch the anime. I watched pretty much all the episodes that are available of the, I guess, redo of the anime, because there was an initial anime that had come out, and then there's another one that came out in like 2011. I think that was the remake or whatever of the anime. But that's the one that I watched and absolutely loved it. You know, love the whole thing start to finish. Like, it's so wild, you know, where the series starts at to where it ends up, and definitely did not expect it to take the turns that it does and to get as brutal as it does. But I'm super happy that I took that journey, and I'm excited to take the journey again in manga form. So this is one of those situations where, like, I didn't read this digitally, you know, and I've only seen the anime, so I want to go back through and start reading the manga, and I'm super excited to try to get into it. I'm not really sure when exactly I'm going to be starting this, but I do want to start it soon, because I don't want it to sit on the shelf for like 3 years, 4 years, where it doesn't get read. And yeah, it might take me a while to get through it, because it is a bigger volume, and like I try to prioritize like smaller volumes, just so that I can get a lot more read, and I don't have like a ton of time, you know, because like I am my own editor when it comes to these videos. Like I have to edit these, then I have to read all the manga and write my own scripts and whatnot, you know, like I don't have a team. It's literally, I'm one man. I'm one man doing literally everything. So it takes me a lot longer to get through things. So like bigger stuff like this, it takes me a little bit longer to, you know, kind of work my way around too. And like I'll read it between other things. Like I've been reading Tomiya by Junji Ito between other things. Like I usually read Tomiya. Like I read like a handful of pages before work, and then when I get home from work, I'll read something else. You know, because like I want to try to get my numbers up so that I can have the 10, you know, read. But if I sit there and just read Tomiya, I'm probably going to read it. It's going to take me like 3 weeks to read it, and I'm not going to get anything else read. And that's kind of what ends up happening with my videos, where like I'll just read the one thing and then I end up getting nothing else read. And then I'm just like, oh man, I get scrambled to get the next video out. But yeah, I'm really excited to start this, dude. I'm really happy that this finally came out. I'm excited to jump into these 3-in-1s. Alright, so we got the final volume of the original line of Innocent. This is volume 3 of the Omnis. Rouge is coming out now too, so I don't remember how long Rouge ran for, so I can't say how many volumes of that we're gonna get. But yeah, this is the original run of the series, and then I haven't pre-ordered Rouge yet, but I will pre-order it. That way it ends up making it into one of my future haul videos. But yeah, Innocent by Shinichi Sakamoto is, I should have said, I'm sorry, this is by Dark Horse. But yeah, Innocent, I read the first volume of Innocent for a video, and it was one of the wildest stories that I've ever read. And you know, I did a lot of research, you know, for the video that I did about the first volume of Innocent. So if you want to check that out and support, I would definitely be super duper appreciative of that, because there was I did a lot of research and whatnot, did a lot of work to kind of like, you know, go into, you know, what Shinichi Sakamoto did with it, and you know, how much work he put into this story. And there was an interview with him on this channel called like Archipel or whatever, where like it details, you know, all of the different influences and whatnot that he drew upon to do Innocent. And it's super wild, man. And I love creators that, you know, will take time and effort and whatnot, and to all these references to things, and I think he would dress up his staff or whatever, or his staff would dress up, or even like they would use dolls or whatever to, sort of model certain things, to get the actions or how it would look, in person, so that they could, it'd be like they're drawing references and whatnot. And absolutely beautiful looking series. We follow a family of like executioners in the 1700s, if I'm not mistaken. I think that's what it was. Yeah, because it was like right before the French Revolution, and it's based on a real life, family of executioners. And I don't want to say too much about it, even though it's literally historical fiction. It's historical fact, what happened at that time, but this is historical fiction. It's super dramatized and whatnot, what happened, back then, but it's a real family that, was a real family of executioners and whatnot, and the things they did are legit, but I don't know how many of you have, studied that part of history or know too much about the family, of executioners that were involved, in the French Revolution. So I don't want to say too much of that, just so I don't, get too into spoiling, parts of this series. But the lead in the Charles Henry Sanson, such a wild lead character. The way that he's set up and drawn and whatnot and brought to life by Shinichi Sakamoto, I think that he did a phenomenal job with it. Alright, so next up, we've got Confession. This is pretty much a complete story right here in this set. This is by Kodansha. So pretty much the dude who, does Kaiji, wrote this series, and then somebody else. Funny enough, the artwork is by a dude named Kaiji. Kaiji Kawaguchi does the art, and Nobuyuki Fukumoto is the writer of the story. I don't know anything about this. I kind of wanted to go into it blind. I'm going to be doing a video at some point in time of like series that are collected in one volume. I got like 5 picked out that I'm going to be talking about in that video, and this is one of them. So once I get that thing going, I'll be able to give you my thoughts on it. If you've read it, I'd love to know what you think about this story. Alright, up next we got Hikari Man. I haven't started reading this yet because I'm actually going to be reading it for my literally next video after this is going to be Hikari Man. But yeah, this is by 7 Seas. Yeah, I can't tell you anything about this, but the artwork looks absolutely wild. This is Hideo Yamamoto, who's also done Homunculus, and then we're also going to be getting Ichi the Killer. That's also by Hideo Yamamoto. So we're pretty much blessed, I think, to just be getting like banger series after banger series, even though I haven't even started reading this yet. But I can already tell that I'm going to love it, just because Homunculus is such a wild story that I'm super duper excited to be checking this out. And I was actually going to start this a lot sooner, but then I started reading some other stuff so that I wouldn't fall behind, for my February video. Like, I cut it pretty close. I ended up finishing the last volume to get to 10, like on the 28th of February, because I'd forgotten, that this was like a leap year, and instead of going to 29, it only went to 28 in February. And yeah, I'm going to start reading this probably once I finish Once I finish reading some of the other stuff I got going on. I'm going to start reading Hikari Man, and this is going to be my next video after this tour video. So yeah, definitely something to keep an eye out for. Next up, we got The Fable. I got Omnibus Volume 5 and 6 right here of The Fable. I think this is complete in 10 Omnis, if I'm not mistaken. If I am incorrect, please let me know in the comments. I watched the whole anime for the series and loved the anime. Huge fan of the manga as well. I talked about the first volume of the manga in a video. The one thing I will say is that I would honestly give it to the manga more so than the anime, because while I really enjoy the anime, I feel like it does take away a lot of the beauty of the art, and that's usually my thing that I always bring up with a lot of stuff, is like sometimes the manga will be the way to go, in other situations it might be the anime will be the way to go. So yeah, I think this is one of those cases where like the manga is probably the way to go, because there are things that when I was watching the anime that were cut from the anime that happened in the manga, and certain things just looked better, in my opinion, the way that they were drawn in the manga versus the way that they were, brought to life in the anime. Though I really did enjoy the anime. I thought it was pretty solid. It was in my favorite things 2024 video, as well as this right here. The manga as well was also in my favorite things 2024 video. But pretty much you got this dude who is like a career assassin, and he has like a body count of like 70 something people, and that's pretty much to the point where his boss tells him to lie low for like a year and not kill anybody for a year straight. So he assumes this identity with his getaway driver, which is that girl right there. So they pretty much assume the identities of like Akira and Ryoko Sato, and they try to lay low, but then just one thing after another just keeps happening, and they keep trying to pull them out and keep trying to reveal their identities and whatnot, and it's a lot of fun. It does get pretty serious, pretty brutal at times, but he's also trying to not, kill anybody, because he's not allowed to kill anybody for a year. He's not even allowed to have any weapons where he's at in like the secret spot that they're staying in, which I think is like in Osaka or something. But a ton of fun, great series, great action as well, really well drawn, super duper gritty, and it does like a great job of balancing this really, I want to say, yeah, like darker, grittier sort of a style with just elements that are super goofy. And at times this dude who's like just this, like, who looks like that, you know what I mean? He's like a hardcore killer, could just look like a total dork. It's so well balanced, and it doesn't feel at any point in time unnatural or like unbalanced. It feels like it all works really well. So that's something that like I do, give this story I do give the story props for. I don't know if I said it or not, but this is by Kodansha. Alright, so this isn't the channel where like I'm known for my great financial decisions. So I picked up a lot of Noragami. This is 16 through 18. This is 19 through 21. And then this is 22 through 24 of Noragami, and then there's another one coming, which I think might be the final omnibus. I'm never really sure about any of these things, so if I'm wrong, please let me know. I usually will say things without being 100% certain. Well, yeah, this is by Kodansha. I just hope nobody should take anything that I say seriously, because I have no idea what the hell I'm even talking about half the time. But yeah, I picked these up pretty much at the same time. I just wanted to collect the rest of this because I love the anime, and like I said before, like I want to just go through and just read all of this series because it goes on for a lot longer than the anime does. And I love the series so much, dude, that like I just wanted to own it. Even if I'm not going to get to it right now, like I just want to have it on the shelf so that I can eventually, get to it and start it back over. Because like I loved the anime so much that like I went through it twice. I went through the first 2 seasons of it, I think twice. It might be 3 seasons. I can't remember, dude, to be honest. I'll put how many ever seasons it is right here. But yeah, I went through it like more than once just because like I loved hanging out with the characters. And pretty much you follow this dude who is like an almost like fleeting god, where he just has like this little shrine that's like this big, and that's like all he has. And I don't think he has any followers, or really not many followers, but he needs to have at least like a follower, otherwise like he would just vanish into thin air. Like there needs to be somebody that believes in him, somebody that knows that he exists, so that he can continue to be a god. And it's such a great series, dude, and I don't 100% remember it, so I'm not going to sit here and pretend like I do, but I just remember that like, he is like a god, and that there's this young girl who becomes like kind of like untethered from life and whatnot, in a sense where like she's still alive, but then there's a part of her that kind of exists in like sort of like the spiritual realm, and then there's like this kid who's tied to him as well. And I don't know, it's such a wild series, such a solid, really well written and created. I love the anime, and I haven't ever read the manga yet, but I'm pretty sure, given what I saw in the anime and loved about the anime, I think all that obviously comes from the manga, so the manga is probably like 10 times more incredible. So I'm definitely super duper excited to jump into it. All right, so this is kind of collected out of order, but I got Fire Force Volumes 5, 9, 11, and 12. So these are all out of order because these were on sale. So I picked these up on sale, and for whatever reason, only these were on sale. And I was like, you know what, I'll pick them up, and then I'll just pick up the other ones later. So I'm just missing like a handful, and then, you know, yeah, like 6, 7, 8, and then 10, I guess, and then that'll be the Fire Force set that's available so far. If not the whole thing, yeah, I'm pretty sure that is, yeah. Yeah, and then that'll be like the whole thing because this is the final volume of Fire Force. And this is by Kodansha. So I started reading this a really long time ago and ended up really liking it. So I decided to watch the anime, and then the anime kind of skipped around with certain things. There's like a whole section that happened in the manga that was taken out of the anime, where there's like this girl who walks into like her apartment or whatever, and like her dad's on fire. This is this world where like people just randomly combust and become these sort of like flame creatures or whatever, and then these people in this like Fire Force sort of a situation try to combat those beings. And it's not like, you know, just like being just like a regular firefighter, which is still like a pretty important job, obviously, but this is like a different kind of you know, firefighting, or like they're fighting creatures, right, and not like just regular fires, which are obviously super duper deadly. But yeah, there's the way that the story just like develops and grows and whatnot. Like the action is solid. Same dude who did Soul Eater. I remember watching the anime for Soul Eater a lifetime ago and really liked that a lot. I have the first 2 volumes of the hardcovers for Soul Eater. I definitely need to start reading it at some point in time, but definitely wanted to own these, and I need to pick the rest of it up. I probably will at some point in time. We follow this kid right here who his mom, I think at one point in time, had combusted into flames, and he is super duper awkward and doesn't know how to like talk to people. So he just like smiles, and like it's just like a nervousness thing that he has, but there's something more going on with him where like he has like kind of like a latent ability that he has hidden within him. And I don't want to say too much about it. I know like it's a pretty popular series. I'm assuming most of you probably already either watched the anime or, you know, read the manga or whatever, but maybe for somebody that hasn't, you know, consumed it yet, that doesn't know what it's about, I think definitely worth checking out. Super solid artwork, super solid series, and yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to eventually, you know, jumping back into continuing the manga. And love the cast of characters in this. They're a ton of fun. There's a bunch of different people that are involved in this story. All of them, you know, are super unique. And I think that's one of the best things about it. It's like everybody involved in it is a pretty unique character. Like I like that dude a lot right there too. That kid right there is a lot of fun. He's kind of like King Arthur sort of mentality. And this girl right here has got like a lucky lecher sort of a thing where it's like super perverted, kind of like unnecessarily perverted, you know, where like dudes that get near her will trigger this lucky lecher sort of ability where her clothes will come off and whatnot. And yeah, it's a thing that happens. And it feels like kind of unnecessary in my opinion. Says the dude that loves like lewd manga. But in this situation, right, like it just doesn't, it feels kind of tacked on, and like it doesn't feel necessary. Like it doesn't feel like it really fits the story super well. If it were like a story that was meant to be lewd, then, you know, that's a different situation, but it feels like a thing that's kind of tacked on, and I don't know, man. Sometimes I don't think that it's always the right call for certain series, but hey, who am I to say? So we are almost done. We are now on to the hardcover part of the video. So Ashita no Jo by Kodansha. I'm kind of disappointed in this, dude, because like I really wanted it to be like these volumes right here, you know, where it's a lot bigger, a lot thicker. That's what I was thinking that these volumes were going to be, and I'm kind of disappointed that the price point for this is like $60. And I didn't get this for $60. I think I got it for $40. But still, you know what I mean? It was definitely kind of disappointing. Because I really was thinking, you know, it was going to be like a much larger trim. But unfortunately, it is not. I did start reading this, and then I ended up getting pulled into some other stuff. So I stopped reading it. I ended up just pulling the bookmark out of it. But I'm going to start it over again at some point in time. But I did enjoy, you know, what I'd read of it. Kind of reminds me of like a Sylvester Stallone, you know, sort of like a Rocky situation. Definitely has that, you know, 70s feel to it, and I did enjoy, you know, like I'd read like the first like 20-ish pages of it and ended up abandoning it, unfortunately, because I just like got pulled into something else. But I do want to start it again because from what I read, obviously, you know, like I really enjoyed it. So I definitely want to see, you know, how this story ultimately plays out. I don't think I'm gonna order volume 2 because I'm not trying to pay $60 for these volumes. So I'll just wait, you know, for volume 2 to price drop a bit, and then I'll pick it up then. But yeah, I definitely want to get back into it. Definitely has like that. It definitely has like that, you know, Detroit sort of, you know, Midwest sort of feel to it. And I was actually in Detroit not that long ago on a work trip. So I've never been to Detroit before. I've never been to Michigan before. So I got to go to Michigan on a work trip and, you know, kind of like saw like the factories and whatnot. At this point in time, you know, a lot of them are like shut down. A lot of that stuff isn't really functional anymore. But it was still cool, you know, to go by those factories that once upon a time, you know, like there was tons of people that worked there and whatnot, and that's kind of like the feel that I get from this, kind of like a deer hunter, you know, sort of a Midwestern sort of feel from this, and yeah, I like that aesthetic. I don't know, man, like I like that, you know, sort of like Detroit, you know, deer hunter. I don't think that took place in Detroit, did it? Deer hunter, it might have, but yeah, I don't know, man. I love storytelling, dude. And it doesn't matter to me, you know, what it is, whether it's like a super gory, super violent story or like something cutesy like My Poison Princess is still cute, or, you know, like Ashita no Joe Fighting for Tomorrow. Like I'll read anything, dude. I'm super open-minded. I just like storytelling. I love storytelling, and that's why I'm such a fan of like film as well. You know, like I love film, and I love, you know, manga and books and whatnot, because I'm just here for a great story, no matter, you know, what the genre. Alright, so next up we've got volumes 3 and 4 of Trigun Maximum. And so right there we got Legato's arm piece. Legato Blue Summers was one of my favorite characters ever in any medium. And then there's volume 4 right there. The last one of this set will be volume 5, and that will complete Trigun Maximum. I'm going to be doing a video about the first omnibus of Trigun at some point in time. I'm going to do it with my friend Nick. We'd also done another video together, which was the At the Mountains of Madness video. So if you all enjoyed that collab that we did, we're going to be doing a collab for the first volume of Trigun. I've been kind of holding off on reading that first volume because, like, I want to wait for him to pick it up, you know, so that I can read it then and then just kind of write my thoughts on it. You know, like, I want it to be fresh. I don't want to write my thoughts on it and then sit on it for like 2 months. So, like, I want to do it like in the moment. So yeah, I'm gonna chill until then to sort of knock it out. But in the meantime, I just wanted to own these because I love Trigun. I grew up watching the anime. I love the anime like with all of my heart. It's one of my favorite series of all time, and yeah, dude, getting to support, you know, something that I grew up cherishing, you know, in a manga format is pretty wild to me. Because I never imagined that I would be collecting manga, or that I would have a manga channel and doing all this stuff. You know, I pretty much grew up with anime. I used to watch tons of anime. And to now doing this, it's a pretty wild transition to me. But yeah, I love Trigun with all of my heart. So I feel super fortunate to own these. So next up, we got Ubelblot. This is by Yen Press. I haven't cracked this open yet. I don't know if I may crack this open. I'm kind of wondering if we can get a refund on these, given that I think page 67 is reprinted. Like it's really the same page twice. So if you haven't picked this up, maybe hold off on, you know, picking it up until they re-release these with the corrected page, because I think they're going to be doing that. And I don't know if us that, like, you know, had already bought it are going to be able to get, you know, the correct editions of this, or if we're kind of screwed. But if we are kind of screwed, then I'm severely disappointed by that, you know, because I had no idea when I picked it up. I wish I would have known, you know, when I picked it up that was going to be the thing. I wouldn't have bought it at all. I would have just waited, you know, to pick up the corrected editions. But It's got an anime. I haven't seen the anime like whatsoever. Never even read this. I know there was like I think there was singles for Ubelblatt before these Omnis, but I love this right there. Like that right there is super duper rad. So I thought that was really cool, and I love the design of it. I think it has a great design. I love that a lot more people, a lot more of these companies like Yen Press, Kodansha, and whatnot are kind of following that Dark Horse Omni sort of a thing. I think that's really rad, and I'm glad more companies are doing that. I'm still happy to own it, even though it is a misprint, because I love the way it looks. Absolutely gorgeous, and hopefully Volume 2 doesn't have that the same issue. Alright, so the last one that we're going to be talking about here is Vagabond. This is a hardcover that I've been waiting for, and this is by Viz. I had the first 6 volumes of the Vagabond manga, the Viz Big editions. I had those and ended up actually selling those when I realized that these were coming out, because I figured I'd rather own these in these huge trim than have those smaller ones. Not that there was anything wrong with them. If you want to own those, that's perfectly fine. But I just want to have these, dude, because I love that. I love the way they look. Just absolutely gorgeous, front and back and whatnot. And I haven't cracked this open yet because I'm actually going to be reading this for a video. I think after I do Hikari Man, I had planned to do Vagabond. I was actually going to do Ubelblatt, but like I said, I'm probably going to hold off on Ubelblatt, but we'll see. I might end up just saying screw it and, cracking it open, even though like there's a misprint, because it's only like 1 page. So I may just crack it open anyway, just to, knock out a video about Ubelblatt. And I definitely want to knock out a video about Vagabond. Like, I'm going to read this first volume of this, this hardcover, and, kind of give my thoughts, on the series, because I've never read Vagabond. So this would be like my first time ever reading Vagabond. And yeah, that was going to be, I think, my next, like, other, like, sort of like single series, video, like Hikari Man's just going to be that. It's not like a collection, like a currently reading, where I talk about 5 things, or even like first impressions, where I talk about like 3 series that like just came out. Like my series is where like I just focus on like 1 volume of a thing. And yeah, it's going to be Vagabond when I get to it, hopefully pretty soon, because I really want to crack this thing open. And like I always look at it like, damn, I want to jump on it, but I want to just like start reading it, because like I want to write my thoughts on it for a video. So unfortunately that means it ends up getting put off for a little bit. But the artwork for this series is so gorgeous, dude, that I'm definitely excited to crack it open and to start exploring this world, and to see what everybody else why everybody else is so enamored with Vagabond. Alright, so that's it. That is the end of the video, and I'm glad that it is, because I did a whole lot of talking and I am super duper tired. But I hope that you enjoyed our time together. I have a ton of editing to do to get this video out, but if you enjoyed this and you want to support what we do here, you want to support this channel, you can do so by heading over to the Patreon and becoming a patron for $2 a month. It is not obligated. You will still get the same videos that I present every single month, maybe every couple of weeks, depending, on how often I can get videos out. But it's kind of turning into like maybe a video a month, a video every couple of weeks, depending on, where I'm at and what I got going on. But I'm always, here, I'm always ready and willing to, put out content for you all. And I love the community. I love, seeing your comments and whatnot. So if you got anything you want to say to me, if you, got any comments about any of the things that I picked up, or if you want to tell me about the things that you picked up, or even if you just want to tell me what kind of day you're having, I want to hear it all. I'm always here to listen. So yeah, thank you so much for hanging out with me. It means the absolute world that you took time out of your day to spend it with me. That means a ton to me. It'll never stop meaning the world to me. Even like 3.5 years into this thing, I always love to see how you're all doing. So yeah, please take care of yourselves.